International. The Syrian rebels may soon officially receive missiles capable of shooting down planes. That's according to the latest reports, which raises fears those weapons may end up straight in the hands of terrorists.
It's a shame that our fathers and mothers are killed and we can't even see them anymore. And we have tears and we shouldn't have tears.
As new cases of police brutality continue to emerge in America, a 9-year-old girl delivers a tearful speech in North Carolina, where one of the recent killings took place.
Who and why? I just need to know. I have to know.
And we meet the relatives of MH17 victims ahead of the results of the criminal investigation, which will announce who was behind the downing of the passenger jet over eastern Ukraine in 2014. It is right now midday in Moscow. Thanks for joining us on RT International. Here come your latest worldwide news headlines. In Syria's embattled city of Aleppo, government forces have intensified their efforts to recapture several districts. And the almost endless gunfire and shelling from militant-held areas is a daily reality now for thousands of civilians. And here's some of the latest footage from the ground.
يا سمر يا سمر احتمال تشكل خطورة موظف.
Meanwhile, the media has found out that the Gulf states might soon openly provide Syrian militants with high-tech weapons to turn the tide against Assad. In particular, we're talking about portable air defense systems which launch surface-to-air missiles from the shoulder. The weapon is especially dangerous as it gives just one militant the chance to shoot down a low-flying aircraft. And the whole policy of arming so-called moderate rebels has been blamed for delivering high-tech weapons straight into the hands of terrorists. And a German journalist spoke to an al-Nusra terrorist commander who revealed how his group does continue to receive arms. He says that his forces receive heavy weapons from US-supported countries. The journalist also found out that al-Nusra terrorists are trained by foreign military experts, with many from America. We spoke to him.
I have said for years, because I knew it and everybody knows it in Syria, that 1 kilometer behind the borders, these weapons were taken by terrorist groups, by Al-Qaeda, by the Islamic State. This is well known. And if I deliver weapons to a moderate, so-called moderate group in Syria, everybody knows that at the end the weapons will be in the hands of the terrorists. And I must also say that, and this commander told it too, that sometimes some radical rebels just say to get weapons, oh, now I'm moderate, I'm a member of the Free Syrian Army. They even changed the name of their group to get the weapons. This is a game that everybody knows. The Americans know that their weapons will at the end be in the hands of terrorists, and they know that. And they know it clearly.
RT's Gaine Chichikan asked the State Department if the US is ready to prevent its allies from shipping high-tech weapons straight to terrorists in Syria.
Well, a Reuters article cites U.S. officials who believe that Gulf states may soon begin to arm Syrian rebels with anti-aircraft weapons, so-called manpads. One U.S. official was quoted as saying the Saudis have always thought that the way to get the Russians to back off is what worked in Afghanistan 30 years ago, negating their air power by giving manpads to the Mujahideen, end quote. The Mujahideen of Afghanistan later, of course, turned into enemies of the United States and used their weapons and training against Americans. With that, my question at the State Department.
About 2 weeks ago, U.S.-backed rebels drove U.S. Special Forces out of the town of Al-Rai, shouting infidels, crusaders, dogs, pigs at them, their words. In light of the fact that some rebels are quite openly anti-American, are you worried that these manpads could one day be used to shoot down U.S. planes?
So first of all, I'm not going to confirm what anonymous U.S. officials may or may not have said. We cannot dictate what other countries, and I'm not naming names, but may or may not decide to do in terms of supporting certain groups within Syria.
So you would not try to stop them from providing the rebels with manpads, with anti-aircraft weapons?
I'm not saying that at all.
Does the administration do anything to stop its allies from providing these powerful weapons to rebels in Syria?
What we're engaged with our allies, and frankly all of the members of the ISSG, which is, as we know, not necessarily all like-minded governments or nations, but they all share, purportedly, a common vision for the outcome that they want to see in Syria.
Washington seems to be leaving the door open to rebels eventually receiving manpads, these powerful anti-aircraft weapons, and this could be a signal to Saudi Arabia and others. The allies had already been funneling arms to the rebels, but not large numbers of manpads, reportedly because they didn't have the green light from Washington for that. And based on previous experience with weapons transfers in Syria, it doesn't look like allies such as Saudi Arabia care much about the weapons ending up in the hands of terrorists, as well as their potential use against Westerners.
Former U.S. ambassador to the UN, Bill Richardson, says at the end of the day, repairing U.S.-Russia relations, that's the key to resolving the Syrian crisis. He made the comments with Larry King on the Politicking program.
What is needed, Larry, is an international coalition that brings a transition, gets Assad out, but also ensures that that coalition is fighting ISIS. This is a huge problem right now. You know, there are millions of deaths, millions of refugees. The United Nations is trying to deal with this issue. But if we can repair the U.S.-Russia relationship, which is so important but is in such bad shape, I think that's the only short-term solution to at least keep things going till a new administration comes in Washington. I think everybody is waiting for that new administration for possible solutions, because the Obama-Putin relationship, the U.S.-Russia relationship, I've never seen it so bad right now, and that's the key to fixing or making the problem in Syria better.